Hello, and a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you across time zones. I'm Sushma Kaushik, a partner at Avishkar Capital, and I feel deeply honored to be welcoming you all to the 11th edition of the IVCA Conclave. Established for over a decade by industry professionals with a unified aim to drive forward alternate capital industry in India, the IVCA, or the Indian Venture and Alternate Capital Association, is India's apex body representing the interests of all key stakeholders, including PEVC industry, LPs, family offices, and corporate VCs. IBCA is a not for profit organization powered by its members. The member firm comprise of firms from around the world, including investment managers, investment advisors, GPs, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, national governments, large government entities, bilateral and multilateral financial institutions, HNIs, and family offices. Over these years, the association has played a pivotal role in enhancing collaboration among alternative investment players in the country, attracting capital to the Indian markets, and nurturing an ecosystem of growth and innovation. The IBCA Conclave, their annual flagship event, is now in its 11th year. Focused on private equity and VC investments in India, this exclusive event is designed to be an ideal environment for exchange of ideas, exploring business opportunities, securing long-term source of capital, and high-end networking among all players in the ecosystem. Over the next 3 days, the IVCA Conclave is going to have over 500 attendees listening to 100 odd leaders from 10 countries on topics ranging from LP allocation, GP strategy, themes like diversity, climate, and ESG. So do stay tuned in. Today, we're also going to witness the launch of some very insightful reports. First is the launch of the India Trend Book 2020 by EY, which provides a detailed overview of the phenomenal PEVC investments that we have seen in the last year and also the kind of exit activities and the key trends that underlie therein. We also have PwC presenting the findings of this year's CEO survey. The survey shares insights on how India's CEOs are thinking vis-a-vis global counterparts on four key parameters of growth, risk, decarbonization, and strategy. So do join in for these sessions as well. It also makes me very happy to note that today is International Women's Day, and I would love to take this opportunity to share a quote by W.E.B. Du Bois, an American sociologist, who said, "There is no force equal to a woman determined to rise." Women have been at the forefront of economic development in the country, and there is rarely a glass ceiling that now hasn't been broken. To start us off, I would like to welcome one such woman, Mrs. Renuka Ramnath, who has made today's event and the coming together of this entire community possible. Renuka is the chairperson of IVCA and the MD and CEO of Multiples Alternate in Asset Management. I've had the opportunity of working alongside Ms. Renuka Ramnath at various committees and have seen her play an instrumental role in bringing IVCA to the forefront. Renuka has over 30 years of experience and has seen the life cycle of PE in India. She's also passionate about creating domestic pools of capital for our own industry's growth. Renuka, over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Sushma, for such a generous introduction. Very grateful. Very good afternoon to everyone. A very warm welcome to this 3-day event of our association. Indeed, the last 2 years that this committee has worked in this association has been a very eventful one. And we are very happy with the progress that we have made in the last 2 years. And I'll talk about all the initiatives that this association has taken. And we are also excited to now hand over the baton to the new committee, which has got elected through the recent elections, which I will present the outcome at the end of my presentation. Indeed, all the women in this industry today will be very proud that we are having this conference on the International Women's Day. And we'll also talk about some of the diversity initiatives that this association and all its members have committed themselves to. Sushma talked about all the topics that we are going to be discussing in the next 3 days and requested all the participants to stay tuned in. So I would leave the left side of the slide, to be just read by the audience. I would only highlight that this industry has seen phenomenal participation from family offices and corporate venture capitalists to support emerging entrepreneurs. And we believe that this is a defining moment for the industry where a huge domestic capital, along with the knowledge that these family offices bring, the entrepreneurs behind these family offices bring, to give the new next generation of entrepreneurs. And this would make a very, very big difference to the ecosystem of entrepreneurship in India. I would like to specially mention a very big thank you on behalf of all members of IBCA to our Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal, Secretary, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Shri Anurag Jain, Chairman, DCC and Secretary, Department of Telecommunications, Mr. K. Rajaraman, Additional Secretary, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Shri Anil Agarwalji, Chairman, Managing Director, SIDBI, Mr. S. Raman, and Chairperson, Parliamentary Standing Committee for Finance, Shri Jain Sinha, to be speaking at this event. Go to the next slide, please. I'm very pleased to share with all of you that we have had 57 new member additions in between 21 and 22, which is the highest that this industry has witnessed so far. But I think that this funnel is going to keep expanding as we think about the potential of the opportunity for this industry in the $5 trillion economy that we are building towards. I think this industry is going to witness many newcomers, and we wholeheartedly welcome them into the industry, and we look forward to enrolling them as members in IBCA. We currently have 189 members, 17 of them and 17 LPs and family offices as members of IBCA, 22 knowledge partners, adding up to 228 members. Speaking for the last 2 years, that this committee has worked with the management team at IBCA. We have built a very vibrant, highly collaborative and participative team within the membership in IBCA. IBCA, after years of hard work, I mean, all the predecessor committees have also done enormous amount of work to bring the issues of this association and the members of this association at the forefront. And we are particularly pleased about the leapfrogging that we have done in the last 2 years as being recognized as a very key enabler to the growth initiatives of the economy, getting the attention of people in New Delhi, including the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, to our industry. And I will talk about it going forward. As an industry, we are committed to delivering at least $50 billion on a per annum basis by 2025 into the domestic corporate industry, including the startups. And we have and will continue to play a very important role with respect to our policy advocacy. Next slide, please. 2021 has been a record year for the industry. We have, as an industry, channelized $77 billion into the Indian ecosystem of corporates, all the way from startups to the entire value chain covering real estate, infrastructure, other venture capital companies, and late-stage private equity investments as well. This is absolutely phenomenal for our industry, which just a few years back was probably 1/10 this size. This also speaks to the importance of this industry again, once again, to reiterate, in the growth of this economy and in the job creation, attendant wealth creation, and keeping the virtuous cycle of the economy going. I would say that creating 46 unicorns in India is something to be really proud of. And India has also emerged as the third largest ecosystem for startups, after, overtaking UK. Many of us who are members, who are probably listening into this conference, know that even a decade back, a startup was considered very risky. Not only finding capital was difficult, finding talent was even more difficult. Listening to their woes and enabling them was almost impossible. Indeed, our country and the efforts of this association, uh, through appropriate contribution of all the members of this association, have made this monumental difference in bringing startup at the center stage of economic growth and wealth creation. And this is something that this industry can be truly proud of. Next slide, please. Also, it's very, very important to note that IPOs have generated a $5.1 billion worth of exits. And many of us know that is there enough exit opportunity from India has been a very big deterrent for at least the global investors. And India has broken all records in terms of providing exits either through PE to PE exits or IPO exits or sale to strategic players. In the last 2 years, IBCA, through its various councils, have addressed the entire spectrum of issues for our industry. The LP Council had targeted that we would do an international LP summit where we would get the attention of the entire world to the prospects of investing in India. We had a very successful conference titled Maximum India Conclave, and this was participated by 180 global LPs. Indeed, a very, very successful 3-day event, which was put together by the association with the help of all its members. We have made progress in a number of councils. I'll keep it brief. We had a council from the elected members of IBCA for credit and special situations, and we have really got the attention of SEBI to deal with this asset class as a separate asset class. And today, SSF funds can be part of AIF Category 1, and there are many more changes that we are pushing forward with. The Venture Capital Council had a very, very active 2 years. We had several roundtables. We got the attention of all the departments of under Ministry of Finance. We had a global summit, and there was extensive participation in our Honorable Prime Minister's Startup India International Summit by many members of our venture capital members in IBCA. We have had several virtual roundtables. We have had the attention of our finance minister as well, participating and speaking in these conferences, which were meant to attract capital from around the world for our venture capital investments. We have made progress with our CAT 3 Council, and there are several facilitating guidelines through our continuous effort of sharing our problems with SEBI that has been enabled. And as I said, we are not at the destination with respect to any of these councils. It's a journey. But what we are very proud and happy to share is that we have seen several milestones being crossed in the last 2 years because of the attention that we have received from the powers that be, which is helping our industry walk towards greater progress, greater amount of capital, and doing the right things by our business and not be constrained by certain regulatory shortcomings. The Real Estate Council again conducted 3 sessions, and they have also taken up their issues with SEBI and other authorities. We have had the Infrastructure Council present a white paper on asset monetization. They are also coming up with a paper on renewables. We have had the Regulatory Affairs Committee again play a very critical role in bringing all the regulatory issues to the attention of New Delhi. They played a very critical role in the pre-budget submissions, which has really got the attention of the government. And I will talk about some of the things that were spoken about in the budget session. And we had the Global Investor Council talk about listing of unlisted companies directly on the international exchanges. All the efforts, can we move to the next slide, please? All the efforts of these various councils and representations in every available forum resulted in our Honorable Finance Minister speaking about some of the demands and requests of this industry at the budget session. Indeed, this is very momentous for this industry, and we have to keep this momentum, this acknowledgement of our industry going as we move forward in our journey. Honorable Finance Minister spoke about setting up of the expert committee for the PEVC world. All of us who are practitioners know that we need the regulations of IFSC, SEBI, RBI, and several other things to come together for us to have a hurdle-free proliferation of our business. And we are very, very hopeful that this expert committee will further ease doing business for our industry in this country. The disparity in the long-term capital gains tax between unlisted and listed company has been a woe for our industry for a very, very long period of time. And we have made our voice heard, and the first step has been taken in at least correcting the surcharge. And the industry will continue its efforts to present itself appropriately to the powers in New Delhi so that we get appropriate tax structure for our industry. Through our constant sharing of wanting the government to show their confidence in this product, and also playing the role as a catalyst in bringing about investments to some of the emerging sectors, such as deep tech, climate action, agri, and so on, the government announced in the budget that they would be making up to 20% investment in funds that are set up for these thematic subjects, which will bring about the necessary change in India. This is indeed a very significant step and a very positive one that the industry can be truly happy about and look forward to. There have also been several policy changes to enable electric vehicles, drones, and several other new sectors for investment by our industry. All in all, I would say that the effort of the members of IBCA has been humongous in the last 2 years to get the attention and bring about necessary regulatory changes which would help us move forward with our desired goal of getting $50 billion on a per annum basis into India for onward investments. Can we go to the next slide, please? So there have been several close interactions with the government, with SEBI, with IFSC to take up matters on how do our members go and set up their business in IFSC? What is the definition of permanent establishment in IFSC? And how do we create IFSC as a destination which is better than the best that is available in the world to both house domestic managers who want to pool international capital and international managers who are otherwise using other jurisdictions to come and set up their offices in IFSC. There are also a lot of regulatory changes, discussions with the insurance companies, with IRDA, with PFRDA, to enable these very deep-pocketed, long-term capital that is available with the insurance companies and to channelize them for our industry. We have had very deep engagement with Sri Jayant Sinha as the chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee of Finance to share some of the challenges that we have had in moving forward and not suffer mainly as domestic managers who are located in India and bring our capability and facilitate our business at par with many of our global fraternity would have when they make investments in India. We have had interactions with chairman of SEBI SIDBI to talk about fund of funds operations and how do we get that as close to the requirements of the industry. There has been extensive coverage of all of these efforts in the media as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Again, the advocacy around direct tax issues, long-term capital gains tax being uniform with listed companies is one of the key asks of the industry. Indirect tax issues, all of us know, especially the domestic managers, that there is an overhang around the interpretation of GST on carried interest. We have had extensive representations with the authorities on giving us clarity for the industry. With SEBI, one of the big forward step has been ability to do co-investments for SEBI registered funds by creating a vehicle under the PMS route for this. This is going to be a game changer for domestic managers who want to channelize more capital than what they have in the AIF through the co-investment route. There have been several other initiatives pertaining to CAT3 AIF and so on that we have taken up with SEBI, both as IBCA and through the SEBI APAC committee, where our representation has been very, very strong. Lastly, for the startup world, there has been a lot of representation on how do we take care of the losses. ESOPs for startup teams has been, again, a very important topic, which several councils under IBCA has represented to the government, and there has been systematic progress and I would say changes which are positive that has happened for our industry. Next slide, please. It was indeed a very defining moment for the industry when we could secure the time and attention of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, industry representatives covering the entire spectrum of alternative assets, from early stage venture capital to late stage private equity, global funds, local funds, real estate funds, infrastructure funds, structured asset funds, who were represented in this conversation and sharing of ideas that we had with our Prime Minister. This again speaks to how much the powers in New Delhi appreciate the importance of this industry, the pivotal role being played by this industry in the emergence of this digital India, which has equal opportunities to the haves and the have-nots. And we want to build an India that is inclusive. And all of you will agree that the entire digitization and bringing of technology and the work done by the startup ecosystem is building decisively a more inclusive Atmanirbhar India. And I think this meeting is really a recognition of the role that this industry is playing. And we are very, very pleased with the time and attention that we receive, which helps us push forward with all the changes that we want to facilitate this industry. Our Honorable Finance Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, indeed has been very generous with her time that she has given us. We have had multiple pre-budget consult meetings with her through VC. She agreed readily to speak and inaugurate our Maximum India conference, putting the message of India, putting the message of how much this industry will play the role in channelizing that 50 billion, which can eventually go up to 100 billion, to the international LPs and domestic LPs. I would like to, on behalf of all members of IBCA, place on record a very special thanks to the time, attention, and facilitation Madam has done for our industry. We have had very many highly interactive sessions with the Honorable Minister for Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal. There have been half-a-day-long meetings with him on Saturdays, where we have had participation from the entire spectrum of IBCA members, comprising domestic managers and international managers, domestic entrepreneurs who have built unicorns in India, who have taken their businesses abroad, to share how this industry can play a pivotal role in creating that Atmanirbhar India. Indeed, we are very grateful for his attention and the help that we have received in the last 2 years. Can we move forward? We have spoken about MIC. We have had very deep engagement from our entrepreneur ecosystem, from the domestic LP ecosystem, from the international LP ecosystem, and of course, all the members of IBCA, including the brilliant work done by the IBCA team to make MIC an outstanding success. Now I come to a very important topic for our industry. ESG, climate change, bringing diversity, and creating impact by building an inclusive India are all topics that are core to our heart and core to our business. We have had several discussions and enablement within the IBCA ecosystem to take the knowledge level, the awareness level, and the commitment to each of these very, very important aspects of building our country going forward during the last 2 years. Shri Jayant Sinha, in fact, made a special presentation on Net Zero is Net Positive, a green frontier development model for India, on the IBCA platform. We have had all our knowledge partners contribute very significantly in raising the awareness around ESG and how PVC firms can embed ESG front and center of their business. Lastly, with the help of WIN-PE, which is Women in Private Equity, an initiative started as a not-for-profit by Nupur Garg, IBCA has worked very closely with WIN-PE, and we have hosted more than 7 webinars for bringing about diversity in our industry. I must say that our industry is not best known for diversity, but the commitment of all the participants in the industry is second to none. Can we go to the next slide, please? Can we go to the next slide, please? The 2-year term of this executive committee of IBCA is coming to an end. I am very, very thankful to the entire team here, whose names you can see on the screen, who have worked very hard to bring about these changes that I have talked about in the last 2 years. Our industry is on a very favorable and a very strong tailwind. So this effort that has happened, the big changes that have happened in the last 2 years, is part of that momentum. And I'm very sure that the efforts of this industry will see even more pronounced results in the coming years. I would like to specially call out the chairs of the various councils. We had Ashley Meneses, who was the chair for the Regulatory Affairs Committee, and the co-chair was Siddharth Pai. In the LP Council, it was chaired by me, and the co-chair was Anita George from CDPQ. In the Real Estate Council, we had Nipun Sani, who was the chair, co-chaired by Vipul Rungta from HDFC. Infrastructure Council was chaired by Sujoy Bose from NIF, co-chaired by Kavita Saha of CPPIB. The Credit and Special Situations Council was chaired by Srinivasan from Kotak and co-chaired by Venkat from Edelweiss and Ajay Hathakadi from Altiria. We had the Venture Capital Council chaired by Karthik Reddy, and it was co-chaired by Abhay Pandey and Rehan Yarkhan from Orios. We had the Category 3 Council chaired by Andrew Holland and co-chaired by Akshay Mansukani from Malabar Capital. We had the Global Investors Council chaired by Vishal Mahadevia from Warburg, co-chaired by G.V. Ravishankar from Sequoia Capital. A very, very big thank you to the entire team, because we will be moving on and handing over the baton to the next set of elected members to take this journey forward. At this point, I also want to mention a very, very special thanks to our knowledge partners. Our knowledge partners have worked relentlessly helping the industry put forward its points, its hurdles, its challenges, and the enablement required from the various authorities. I want to call out their names. Our knowledge partners include Praxis, Global Alliance, KPMG, PwC, Khaitan and Company, Hunt Partners, IC Legal, EY, IQEQ, AZB and Partners, Duff and Phelps, Nishit Desai Associates, SAP, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, Sane Group, Indus Law, Control Risks, Economic Law Practice, Inventors Law, JS Health, Gunderson Detmer, Trilegal. And if I've missed out any, I seek forgiveness. I've tried to include as many people, not necessarily in any order, but I definitely want to reiterate that none of the results that we got, we would have been enabled to get if it was not for the deep involvement and work done by our knowledge partners. We definitely look forward to working with you with equal zest as we take the industry forward. Now, to announce the results of the election that we conducted and concluded in February. First, I would like to immensely thank all members of IBCA for coming forward and casting your vote. We had 79% participation of members in putting together and electing the next IBCA committee who would take these efforts forward for the next 2 years. This elected committee will meet very soon to elect the chair for the next 2-year term and the vice chair for the next 2-year term. I would like to heartily congratulate on behalf of all members this elected committee. To quickly read out the names, we have Amit Jain from Carlyle, Ashley Meneses from Chris Capital, Karthik Reddy of Bloom Ventures, Sandeep Naik from General Atlantic, Nipun Sani of Apollo, Prashant Prakash from Axel, Rajan Anandan from Sequoia, Siddharth Pai from 341 Capital, and Vinit Rai from Avishkar as the 9 elected members. They will co-opt 6 more members to form the IBCA committee, which will work with the IBCA team in the coming 2 years. Next slide, please. I would like to say that when I took the chair 2 years back with a lot of trepidation. I really have never been, a very active participant of any industry association. I was very, very ably guided by Sri Gopal Srinivasan as to, how to fulfill the role as IVCA chair. I sincerely hope I have been able to deliver to the expectation of all members. And I want to very sincerely thank the entire team, executive committee comprising 15 members, who have worked tirelessly in bringing forth the challenges of this industry and making this industry more vibrant, more successful, more prolific, for future. But the one initiative that makes me especially happy is how keenly, how happily all our members have come forward to embrace gender diversity. And this has also got further momentum because of the creation of WinPE at the same time. And the two associations are working very closely together to bring a significant movement of the needle in terms of having gender balance in all our organizations, not just at the entry level, but across all the way up to becoming partners in our member organizations. Once again, I want to thank the chairs of all of the councils who have worked for their respective industries. But all our efforts fade when we think about the IVCA team and their 24/7 engagement with all the council members, all the external participants, to put forth the requirements of the industry. It is a relentless kind of work in terms of, we have a meeting with SEBI tomorrow. We need to give out this paper on how should co-investment funds should be structured, or there would be an issue with IPAC, or it would be about setting up a meeting with someone or the other, either in DPIIT or in DEA or with the ministers for the association. It is a relentless amount of work, and any amount of good words spoken for this team under the able leadership of Rajat Tandon would be inadequate. So I definitely want to call out the humongous efforts of Rahul Shah, Akriti, Ankit, Yogesh, Rohan, Amit, Sunita, Sonia, Sumit Shetty, and Shreya under the phenomenal leadership of Rajat, and thank them on behalf of all the members on this very momentous occasion. With this, I hand it over back to Rajat to take the proceedings of this 3-day exciting event forward, which will culminate with IVCA Awards, where again our jury has put in a lot of efforts to choose the right winners. And this conference would not have been possible without our wonderful sponsors. I don't want to call out the names, except to say we are deeply grateful as IVCA to all the sponsors to make this event possible. We continue to look forward to your patronage to keep the efforts of this industry going and achieve very soon the near-term dream of bringing $50 billion of alternative asset capital into this country on an year-on-year basis. Thank you very much and enjoy the conference.